Our next speaker will be Jennefer Witter. Jennefer Witter is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of the Borland Group Incorporated, a public relations firm headquartered in Riverdale, New York City. The agency specializes in women-led and minority-owned businesses. It was selected by TheStreet.com as one of 5 national Black-owned businesses making a buzz. Jennefer was named one of the nation's 10 most successful Black CEOs and entrepreneurs by Madame Noir magazine, and her company was recognized as one of 12 Black-owned businesses to be loved by its community and beyond by Thrive Global. Jennefer is an active public speaker and author of The Little Book of Big PR, 100+ quick tips to get your small business noticed. She's been featured in... Am I talking too loud, Bobby? She's been featured in the Wall Street Journal.
Sorry, hold it off. Yeah.
It's not hers. Go ahead.
Go ahead, just speak without. Speak without.
I usually say names at graduation, and Bobby says he can hear me from the back. I'll use my theater voice. Okay. Jennefer has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg Radio, MTV News, WJLA, HuffPost, and has written for Forbes. Presenting her talk, Implicit Bias, please welcome to the stage Jennefer Witter.
Have you ever met someone and in the initial seconds of meeting that person said, that person is this, that person is that. And based on that assumption, your behavior toward that person is based on that conclusion. Then you get to know the person, and then you realize, my behavior toward him is absolutely incorrect.
Pardon me, Jennifer, I apologize. I just want to fix it. It's not your chain. It's moving. I apologize.
I just wanted a handsome man to...
Girlfriend in the back.
Advantages to being at the end of the day. But anyway, that is something that all of us have experienced. And for today, we're going to find out what those assumptions are based on. We're going to talk about behaviors that are triggered. And what happens when those behaviors are triggered can lead to consequences that are minor and those that have harmful after effects. But first, we're going to take a quiz. Everybody game for a quiz?
Yeah.
Is everybody game for a quiz?
Yeah.
Oh, that's better. And it's an easy quiz. What I want you to do is to look at a photograph. That's all. I want you to look at it for 15 seconds, and I'll explain why later. And then I'm going to ask you a question. And then you will go into it. So, are you ready for the quiz?
Yes.
All right. You're going to look at it for 15 seconds, and I'm going to time it. Just look at it. You have another 5 seconds. Thank you for the phone. The end of the 15 seconds. Now, raise your hand if you would hire that man. Raise your hand, just by looking at him, that you would hire him. You're like, I don't know. But yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Just by his appearance. Okay? Thank you. All right. Now, We have all heard the phrase, we only have one chance to make a first impression. But what happens when that first impression is based on a perception that is not based on a reality? And that perception, as I mentioned earlier, can take away opportunities or not even give an opportunity to any one of us in this room. Now, let's take a look at this man again. And I've given you a little bit more information. He's pretty impressive, right? Yeah, I'm seeing some heads nodding. You know, he has 2 graduate degrees, 2 more than I do. You know, he's the CEO founder of a nonprofit that is very well respected. Nodding heads. So you feel more positive about him. You think, for those on the fence, that, well, maybe I will hire him. Not bad. But would you hire him if you saw that? It's the same person at a different time in his life. When Jason was a young teenager, he grew up in a very abusive household. When he was 8 years old, his father stripped him naked, beat him, and threw him out in the snow in Iowa. And he wanted a family structure. And the only structure that he could find was being part of a gang called the Snakeheads. And as a member of this gang, he committed a crime, was arrested, found guilty, and at the age of 15 was sent to a maximum security prison in the state of Texas for 15 years. He is the same person. He overcame a lot. But what happens is that when people hear about others who have a prison record, they draw back. Remember? Perception, not based on reality. And they don't hire those who are formerly incarcerated. According to uscourts.gov, 55% of the formerly incarcerated, their biggest fear upon being released from prison is finding a job. And 44% of those who are released are rearrested within a year. And a major reason is because they can't find work because of their criminal background. And that is the basis of implicit bias. Implicit bias is a bias of which we are unaware. It happens when we are very, very young. It is a bias that is practically rooted into our DNA. What happens when we're very young? We start developing biases around the ages of 4 and 5. And it's around 2, race and gender. And as we get older, like a layer of an onion building up and up, we develop more biases. Skin tone, weight, height, language. And we develop these biases through our family, our friends, our community, our religion, our culture. And we're not even aware of it. And when we meet someone, what happens automatically is that we start, our biases start kicking in. And we don't even stop it because we don't know. And here's the thing. Everyone is biased. Everyone in this room has a bias, including myself. And that can be a bitter pill to swallow. So why is implicit bias scarier than racism? Let me be clear. Racism is filthy and disgusting. Racism is an opinion, a prejudgment, or a belief against a group of people that is accompanied by fear and hatred. Racists know they are racist. They are proud of it. They wear it as their master status. No one goes into a Proud Boy meetings and say, oh, how did I come here? Oh my. They know. They know they hate blacks. They know they hate Catholics. They know they hate Jews. And they are proud of it. Whereas with those with implicit bias are unaware of it. There is no fear or hatred. It is based on ignorance. There are laws to contain and control racism. The Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, stopped what? Jim Crow. Brown v. Board of Education leveled the education field so that any child of any race would get the same education. No one in this room can raise their hand and give me a law that negates implicit bias, because there is no law. And as such, it goes unchecked with a multitude of consequences. Let's take a look at some of those consequences. Look at this lovely lady with the sweetest smile, pretty outfit, but most of us will look at her and see that she is overweight. Now, job ads have to have a range, salary range. So let's pretend there's a salary range of $55,000 to $65,000. Everything I share with you is based on fact. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, a woman, and this only applies to women, if you are 1% over your accepted body weight range, you lose 6% in income. It is a fact. So let's just say she's going for a job at 65 at the top end, and let's just say she's 1% over. Look how much money she starts, $61,000. The Benjamins turn into Washingtons. She loses nearly $4,000. Here in New York, that's a month's rent. You can use it to pay down your credit card bill. You can use it to pay off your student loan. But because she's 1% over, she loses that amount. Your name. How many of us have thought that our name, our beautiful names, can act as negative against us? I wrote an op-ed about name bias, how having a black or ethnic sounding name can prevent you from getting a job. It got 40,000 views on LinkedIn. If you are a Latoya, a Marcus, a Mohammed, Keisha. Again, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research, for those who have a black sounding name, you have to send out 15 resumes before you get a response. Whereas those with white sounding names, like Victoria, Christian, Jennefer, send out 10 resumes and you'll get a response. That's a 30% difference. According to the University of California at Berkeley and the University of Chicago, they did a study, and they sent out 83,000 job applications. Half of them with black-sounding names, half of them with white-sounding names, to over 100 companies throughout the United States. Those with black-sounding names got called back 10% less than those with white-sounding names. How are you going to advance your social mobility? How are you going to climb that ladder of success when the recruiter, based on her implicit bias, won't even call you based on your resume? How are you going to get that chance based on fact? Serious consequences here. Bias in healthcare. Healthcare, this is from the New England Journal of Medicine, by the way. Healthcare providers' implicit racial bias is associated with diagnostic uncertainty. Diagnostic uncertainty is the inability to provide adequate explanation of the patient's health problem. There are views that black patients are less medically adherent than white patients. Basically what that means, and I want to stress something here, all doctors, I believe, take their Hippocratic oath seriously. First, do no harm. But what did I say earlier? We all have implicit bias, and it seeps into our behaviors. And so these doctors are thinking that we blacks are not following their instructions. So we go back and say, we're not feeling better, instead of saying that, well, maybe we need to change the protocol. They're going to say to us, you're not listening to us. And the problem will get worse. For blacks, this has been going on for centuries, that for some reason, many doctors think that we can endure pain more than whites. Let me just say this. There is no difference between white bodies and black bodies. If you kick a white person, you kick a black person, we're both going to feel pain. But there is a bias against this. Marion Sims, anybody hear of this doctor? He was a gynecologist in the 1800s. He's actually in medical textbooks. He's known as the father of modern gynecology. Do you know what this doctor did? He performed gynecological surgeries on enslaved women without using anesthesia. Because he said, they don't feel pain. Boucher Blackstock, he is a Harvard-trained physician. And when she was in medical school at Harvard, she wasn't feeling well. Something was wrong with her stomach. There was pain there. She went to the emergency room 5 times. They kept sending her back. They admitted her when her appendix burst within her. Less patient-centeredness. Basically what that means, when you have a patient-centered care, it means the doctor is listening to you, it reduces unnecessary procedures, and they want you to get better faster. But with blacks, it's less of that. And there's poor provider communication. That beautiful woman there is my mother. It was taken in the 1950s before she went out. She was going out on a night in Harlem. You can see the pearls in the dress. My mother was a nurse. And what happened was that she had a heart condition. She wasn't feeling well. And she went to her doctor, who was white. And when she explained medical professional to medical professional, he had one question for her. Are you depressed? My mother later was diagnosed with heart failure. She was hospitalized multiple times, and it was a contributing factor to her very hard death. But there are solutions. We have to identify our biases. We all have them, admit it, we do. So let's identify them. You can take the Harvard Implicit Association test. It is free, it's online, it's anonymous. I have taken it many times. I've never been doxxed. It's never been released. And it allows you to know where your biases lay. It is racial, you can take racial tests, gender, sexuality. It really is a good indicator. And then once you find out, you have to start changing your thinking. That instead of jumping to conclusions when you meet someone, let that person write his, her, their story. Because the story that you're writing for them probably is wrong. And then if you work for a company, or if you're an employee, you have to invest in implicit bias training. Remember what I said about the recruiter? How can you have a glorious mosaic of a company? How can you hire the best skilled individuals if you won't even say yes to their resumes? So, in conclusion, we all have biases. We all know what it is. And I'm hoping that you take what you've learned from here. You're not going to leave here and say, hallelujah, I've been cured of implicit bias. It's not going to happen. But you're going to take a small step in adjusting your thought pattern. That when you meet someone, you're going to try to avoid jumping to a conclusion. And what you're going to do is to allow that person to write his, her, their story. And it will allow a more level playing field. Because let's not forget, we project our implicit bias. But don't forget that every person in this room has been the subject of implicit bias. Thank you.